But you seeing that?
Watermelon.
Oh, shoot. I cut myself. And this is why we don't play with blades when you don't get to train with them. And for this, I have to conclude right now because I did have a mistake.
The sound of a blade cutting through a still room has a way of grabbing your attention. It is sharp, it is clean, and it is final. For years, that sound has been tied to a man who could take a forged lump of steel, swing it once and decide its fate with a calm nod and a phrase that became a piece of television history. It will kill.
It will kill.
Which is why in 2024, when rumors began spreading that Doug had died, the internet reacted with a mixture of panic and disbelief. How could someone so present, so energetic, simply be gone? The question hit fan communities hard whether this rumor was real. Why were people sharing it? And if it was false, where did it come from? What really happened to Doug Marcaida? Over the course of the past decade, Doug Marcaida has become the beating heart of one of the History Channel's most successful shows ever, Forged in Fire. Viewers didn't tune in just for the craftsmanship or the competition. They tuned in to watch Doug turn the testing floor into a kind of martial arts theater. Every slow, precise movement, every controlled breath before he swung, every time he took a blade designed by a stranger and treated it with respect, almost as if the steel had a soul. That presence made him more than a judge, it made him a symbol of discipline. People care about Doug because he is not simply a performer on television. He is a teacher, a designer, a martial artist with decades of experience, and someone who openly shares a philosophy built around preserving life even while mastering tools designed to end it. To many fans, he represents the kind of mentor you wish you had, knowledgeable, controlled, and never boastful. So how did the fake news of his supposed death spiral into such a major controversy? The rumor did not begin with an official announcement. It did not come from Forged in Fire, from the History Channel, or from anyone close to Doug. It started the way most modern hoaxes do, and that is through a vague post in a Facebook group. A comment thread on a knife collecting page containing a screenshot taken out of context and shared on Reddit. A few users speculated that Doug had been inactive online for too long, and within hours, imaginations filled in the blanks. The nature of social platforms turned the spark into a bonfire. One user claimed to have heard something from a friend in production. Another insisted they saw a tribute video but could never produce the link. As algorithm-driven feeds picked up the posts, each share pushed the rumor to new audiences who did not know the context or the doubts surrounding it. Before long, people were resharing the claim not because they believed it, but because they were afraid it might be true. Some fans reacted with disbelief. Comments read things like, "This cannot be real. He literally posted last month." Others were crushed and said, "Forged in Fire will never be the same." A user wrote, pairing the message with a photo of Doug in mid-swing. A few small fan pages even created memorial posts, editing his face into black and white portraits with candles underneath. None of it was based on fact, but emotion spreads faster than truth. It did not help that Doug had been posting less frequently. A few months of reduced social media activity became fuel for speculation. To fans who were used to training clips, blade demos, and travel updates, the silence felt ominous. For many people, online presence equals proof of life, and when that presence dips, rumors flourish. In reality, though, there were far more practical reasons for his quiet period. Projects, travel, personal life, none of which were dramatic. But the internet rarely fills silence with calm explanations. It fills silence with the most sensational option available. Finally, Doug himself stepped in. Not with a written statement, but with a demonstration video on Instagram that showed him moving through a sequence of sharp, fluid movements. No commentary or frustration about the rumor, just going through life the same as ever, unbothered and focused. The response was immediate, relief poured into the comments, and fans flooded forums to correct the misinformation. Even people who had repeated the hoax earlier came back to delete or update their posts. The incident became a reminder of how easily a lie can spread and become mistaken for truth even with no basis. More importantly, it revealed something about the community that supports him, that they cared enough to worry, that they cared enough to search for answers. And once the truth surfaced, they cared enough to set the record straight. Doug Marcaida was not gone. He was just living his life off the internet. Now, what exactly was the life lived by this larger-than-life man like to make him so beloved by so many? Well, let's get into that. Before Forged in Fire existed, Doug Marcaida was already well known in the martial arts community. What he did not expect was history to reach out one day and ask him to help evaluate handmade weapons in front of millions of viewers. The producers were searching for someone who could test blades with both technical precision and authentic combat knowledge. They did not want a stuntman. They did not want a flashy performer. They needed someone who understood the intent behind every cut, every angle, every possible application a blade might have. And Doug fit that requirement perfectly. From his very first episode, he brought a unique energy to the testing floor. While other judges focused on structural integrity and blade geometry, Doug approached each weapon like a martial artist evaluating a partner. He could feel balance in a single motion. He could determine whether a handle design would lock into a user's palm or twist at the worst moment. His approach was controlled, meditative, and every strike carried undeniable power. This was where the now iconic line came to life. In the early seasons, Doug would describe a blade's effectiveness in simple terms. Eventually, his accented pronunciation of the word kill created a unique sound that fans picked up on, kill. But it's not just an over-pronunciation. In fact, it's actually meant as an acronym for Doug's philosophy and belief of what's most important: keep everyone alive. Behind the scenes, he was just as influential. He often spoke with contestants before and after tests, offering small corrections or reminders about edge alignment, grip stability, or blade curvature. These conversations were never part of the show, but many Smiths later credited Doug for helping them understand how their creations behaved in real-world motion. The audience embraced him almost immediately. Viewers who had never handled a knife beyond a kitchen drawer found themselves fascinated by the way he moved. The way he spoke about responsibility and the seriousness he brought to every swing became a hit, and Doug became the face of its most dramatic moment: the testing. His rise to fame wasn't because of over-the-top theatrics, but his authenticity. Even further back than that, long before television cameras and steel-cutting demonstrations, Doug Marcaida was a young boy in the Philippines trying to make sense of a world where blades were everywhere. In many Filipino communities, knives were daily tools, cultural symbols, and sometimes instruments of conflict. For a child, that visibility could be overwhelming. Doug remembered that vividly. The shape of a blade was not elegant to him then. It was intimidating. His earliest memories of edged weapons did not involve craftsmanship or discipline. They involved tension, street disputes, neighborhood stories, quick flashes of danger that left lasting impressions. Most people assume martial artists begin from fascination, but Doug began from avoidance. He did not want anything to do with weapons. They felt unpredictable. They felt too close to real harm. That changed when he discovered Filipino martial arts were everywhere in his culture, but he had never looked at them through the lens of discipline. When he first stepped onto a training floor, he expected to feel fear. Instead, the structure of Kali shifted everything. There were forms, patterns, footwork drills that felt like choreography. Instructors who treated blades not as threats, but as extensions of intention and control. The fear that once defined his reaction slowly turned into understanding. Kali reframed the danger into something manageable, respectful, and almost academic. Doug began to see weapons the way a musician sees an instrument. They carried potential, but only through the user's skill and judgment. It was the beginning of the philosophy he still carries today, the belief that mastering a weapon requires mastering the self first. His family eventually moved to the United States, and the transition introduced an entirely different environment. American life provided safety, opportunity, and structure, but it also left Doug searching for something to carry forward from his heritage. And Kali filled that space. It gave him a connection to home and a way to build confidence in a new country. The boy who once hid from blades began practicing with them daily, studying angles, strikes, and movement with a calm curiosity. When Doug entered the U.S. Air Force, he stepped into an environment built on precision, discipline, and responsibility. His background in Filipino martial arts made him a natural fit for teaching close-quarters combat skills, and he spent part of his service guiding others in techniques that focused on control and decisiveness rather than aggression. Military training sharpened not only his physical abilities, but also his understanding of how people respond under pressure. He saw firsthand how structure and clarity could transform fear into readiness. Yet his military career showed only one side of who he would become. After leaving active service, Doug transitioned into civilian life and took up work as a respiratory therapist. It was a dramatic shift in environment. The contrast between combat and healing shaped the dual identity he is known for today. Working in medicine taught him a different kind of discipline. It taught patience. It taught empathy. It forced him to understand the human body not in terms of damage, but recovery. Hours spent in hospital corridors, adjusting ventilators and monitoring vitals, gave him a perspective that very few martial artists possess. He saw how fragile life truly is. He saw how quickly strength could fade. He saw people fight battles that had nothing to do with blades or violence. These two worlds eventually merged into his personal philosophy. Whenever Doug explains his training system, he often says that the goal of martial arts is not to take life, but to preserve it. He credits this mindset to his time in medicine. The Air Force taught him the importance of readiness. The hospital taught him the importance of compassion. Together, they shaped the principle that guides him to this day. The purpose of skill is to keep people alive. After a combined 21-year career in the Air Force and as a respiratory therapist, Doug's reputation as a weapons expert more than preceded him, and with how focused his branch of combat, he was the perfect fit to be a judge on Forged in Fire. So, in 2015, contacting him was a no-brainer for the producers, and for Doug, so was saying yes. From then onwards, on the set of Forged in Fire, the testing floor always looked controlled. Doug moved with grace and incredible skill, ensuring that nothing went wrong until the day something slipped. In 2017, Doug suffered a significant arm injury on the set of Forged in Fire during a blade test. He has never gone into detail about the exact circumstances, but the injury was serious enough to require rest and rehabilitation. While recovering, Doug's brother and trusted students filled in for demonstrations, allowing the show to continue. Doug remained involved, directing techniques and providing guidance from the sidelines. The recovery process included therapy and a gradual return to martial arts practice. When he returned to the set, Doug adjusted his approach to emphasize precision and control over force, ensuring both safety and effectiveness. The incident highlighted Doug's resilience and adaptability, showing his commitment to the craft, his students, and the integrity of the show. Despite the setback, he fully recovered and resumed his role as judge and instructor, maintaining his standard of excellence. Long before fans were quoting his catchphrases, Doug was quietly shaping the knife industry behind the scenes. To most viewers, he was the judge who swung other people's blades, but outside the show, he was designing his own. Not as collectibles or props, but as tools rooted in martial practicality, Filipino movement, and years of hands-on teaching. One of his most recognizable creations is the DARTXT, a folding blade inspired by the same principles found in Kali. It opens quickly, locks securely, and mirrors the angles Doug teaches in his training system. It is not meant to be flashy. It is meant to be functional, a tool that works the way a martial artist thinks, with ergonomics shaped around instinctive grip transitions and controlled deployment. Then came the DM Talon, produced in collaboration with 5.11 Tactical. This design blended everyday carry practicality with the curved slicing geometry of traditional Filipino weapons. It became popular among both martial artists and professionals who needed a reliable, compact tool with a natural feel in the hand. That collaboration set the stage for more partnerships, including work with Fox and Bastinelli, two companies known for crafting blades that blur the line between art and high-performance gear. What separates a Doug-style blade from the rest is intention. His designs are built around movement, not appearance. Curves follow the natural arcs of the human body. Handles are shaped to prevent fatigue during repetitive training. The cutting edges complement the striking patterns found in Kali. Nothing is accidental, everything has a purpose. His work has even appeared in Hollywood, with blades inspired by or based on his designs showing up in films like the Blade series and the Bourne Legacy. These appearances helped cement his influence beyond the martial arts community, proving that his approach to blade design resonates on a broader scale. Ultimately, Doug's philosophy is simple. A blade should be an extension of the user, not an obstacle, and each of his creations reflects the same balance he teaches in his seminars: efficiency, adaptability, and respect for the craft. While television made Doug recognizable, his true impact comes from his work as a teacher. The Marcaida Kali system, which he developed over years of refinement, is practiced around the world. It emphasizes fluidity, adaptability, and motion arcs that follow the body's natural mechanics. Students often describe the style as graceful until they realize how efficiently the techniques translate into real-world application. Doug travels frequently, hosting seminars in countries across Europe, Asia, and North America. These events attract everyone from lifelong martial artists to complete beginners who simply want to learn how to move with confidence. Despite his reputation, Doug keeps his teaching grounded. He focuses on concepts rather than intimidation. Students are taught awareness, timing, and responsibility long before they ever think about speed or power. His expertise has also brought him into contact with tactical teams, special units, and security professionals who seek practical, edged weapon training. Doug's instruction prioritizes safety, control, and decision-making under pressure, making it valuable in fields where hesitation or misjudgment can have serious consequences. Yet the heart of his teaching lies in ordinary people. Many come to him because they want to feel capable. Others want to connect with cultural heritage. Some simply want a discipline that improves focus and confidence. Doug treats them all with the same respect. He listens, corrects gently, and encourages progress at a sustainable pace. Whether he is consulting with elite units or guiding a first-time student through basic footwork, Doug remains a mentor first. His goal has never been to create fighters. It has been to create individuals who understand control, awareness, and the responsibility that comes with any form of skill. By this point, though, Doug's reputation and popularity had begun to attract more than his fair share of detractors. Plenty of people online, especially in places like the HEMA community, criticized Doug's form and technique, claiming that it was actually extremely subpar and ineffective for cutting. The thing is, though, these comments are about his usage of longer blades and European-style swords, which, are not his area of expertise in the first place. Luckily, just as many people came to his defense in these instances, pointing out the ridiculous expectation for one man to have a mastery over all kinds of blades just because he's an edged weapons specialist. And that's not even the only time the residents of the internet have tried to discredit or belittle Doug for no good reason. In fact, much like the false rumors of his passing, they spread another about how he bankrupted Forged in Fire by demanding an incredibly massive payout for an injury he suffered in 2022. Once again, though, it wasn't long before these claims were debunked and put to rest. Other than these incidents, one other controversial event involving Doug Marcaida is a supposed altercation with former host of the show, Will Willis. And not just some minor brawl either. Willis actually claimed on the Cleared Hot podcast that Doug outright threatened to kill him and challenged him to a fight, which, for anyone who's been watching the guy for long enough, seems extremely out of character. Between that and the fact that Willis hardly came off as anything close to a decent person on that podcast, it's likely safe to say this controversy is just another that's based in nonsense. Throughout these attempted attacks on him, Doug has remained strong, unaffected, and unbothered. He just keeps moving on with his life, doing what he loves, and spreading it as much as he can.